In 2023, I transferred $40,000 to a company with hundreds of students and a guaranteed return on investment promise. And 6 months later, they were facing a class action lawsuit from those very own students of theirs, and I was in a battle to get my money back. That was just one of the ways that I've lost over $100,000 in my business journey since 2015 and have fallen victim to scams that I never thought I would be somebody to fall victim to. Now, today I'm going to be sharing 3 of those major scams that cost me nearly 6 figures in total, the exact red flags that I've missed, and the systems that I now use to protect myself and my business from these expensive mistakes. Now, obviously, I'm not proud of these lessons. I'm actually embarrassed about them, and I've waited a long time to be sharing this information, but I do want to make sure that I can share this with you because what I learned might be able to save you thousands or tens of thousands or $100,000 as well. And also be sure to stick around until the end because I'm going to reveal the most dangerous red flag that still fools experienced entrepreneurs today. It's one that's kind of difficult to actually keep up with, but I do also want to make sure that I'm clear about something up front, which is this isn't about playing victim or blaming others for my own mistakes. I actually take full responsibility for every single dollar that I've lost. These were my decisions, and I am sharing them so that you can learn from them without paying the same expensive tuition that I did. Now, if you're somebody that's thinking, oh, I'm too smart to fall for these scams, as I mentioned, that's exactly what I thought too, because I've sold over $7 million worth of products on Amazon. I've sold over $10 million online. I've built multiple successful online businesses, and I consider myself a careful and strategic entrepreneur, yet I've still lost over $100,000 because I ignored red flags that at the time I didn't know about. These weren't obvious scams with misspelled emails or fake websites. They were sophisticated operations run by seemingly legitimate businesses with thousands of customers, professional marketing, and all the trappings of credibility. So let's break down exactly what happened, starting with the first major loss, which was the wholesale community bankruptcy. It was 2018 and I was looking to scale my Amazon business through wholesale sourcing. I found a community that promised access to exclusive wholesale distributors with products that I could sell on Amazon. Now, the buy-in wasn't cheap. It was actually $10,000 to join just the community, but the potential seemed worth it, and I actually learned a lot from this community. They actually had testimonials, they had case studies, they had a pretty good track record of success. They were actually selling $20 million per year in arbitrage and wholesale products on Amazon. And so there were multiple 7-figure per year Amazon sellers inside of this community. And not only did they include access to their trainings and coaching sessions, but they also gave access to their wholesale partners. And in this case, they had set up a retail operation in New Jersey in a pretty great location. And so they were able to buy and sell big name products from major companies, like really major companies that most Amazon sellers can't get their hands on because you need a retail location to do so. And this is actually what ended up being their downfall as well as my own in terms of this scam. Because at first things went well. I was able to place a few orders through their wholesale connections. I was able to make some money from that, and ultimately their system seemed to be working until I placed a larger order. And this larger order was $12,500 worth of inventory that would have generated about $40,000 or so in sales. These products had 50 to 60% return on investment. So it was, all in all, it was about $20,000 of total money that would have come back to me after Amazon fees and other things. But that's when everything fell apart because weeks went by and over a month with no word went by on that inventory. Kept reaching out and getting told that I was going to get it, but then they started going silent on me. And so when I tried to complain and I brought to light this issue inside their coaching group community that was also a part of this program, I actually asked, hey, is anybody else having trouble getting their orders? They kicked me out of the community completely for bringing it public. Now, the next thing that I knew, the company went bankrupt. My inventory gone, my community access was already terminated, and my $10,000 membership fee had vanished. In total, I lost $22,500 in actual costs, plus the potential $40,000 in sales and the extra profit as well that I would have made, plus all the extra time that I actually spent in chasing down this inventory and trying to be a part of this community and more. I was told by the owner that he would actually pay back every single penny to me, but I have yet to receive anything from him in years. And unfortunately, he's still out there trying to build his name in the Amazon and e-commerce communities. And I can't mention any names here, but I do want to talk through some of the red flags flags to watch out for in general, because this isn't just about this company. It's about the warning signs everyone should look out for with any scam or any red flag. Because looking back, there were warning signs I completely missed. The community was entirely closed. There was no way to talk to existing members before joining. There was no free community to learn from either. They didn't have any existing content out on YouTube or on any social media platform that I could learn from. I just got connected to this person and decided to jump into their program. And most importantly, there was no transparency about how the company operated. You see, at the time I was naive. I didn't realize what the company was doing, that these wholesale accounts that I had access to were purchased directly from the brand as an authorized distributor, but the brands didn't ever agree to that. One day, some of the brands decided to go after them for breaking their distributor agreement, and that's when it apparently all started the road to the bottom. Now I know in my own Amazon business to avoid companies that have been set up like that, and you need to work with authorized distributors on a wholesale basis that you can purchase from. And so before I get into all of the red flags as well from this company and more, let me tell you about the second major loss that I had, because this one was unfortunately even more painful. So after recovering from the first loss, I was obviously more cautious, but still looking for ways to grow. I found a course creator with a massive following, thousands of students, excellent reviews, and content that actually seemed valuable online. This was an online business related program. It was not for selling on Amazon like my first scam was that I went through. Now, I actually started with their basic course for about $1,000, and that content was pretty decent, and it built my trust in the company. Then they launched a done for you program to help build out the business for you. The pitch was compelling. They would do all of the heavy lifting. They would write the content, film the content, launch the ads for you, run through your offer, and they guaranteed a return on investment if you followed their system. And the cost for that was $40,000. Now, I didn't make this decision lightly, and I actually split the investment with a partner. So it wasn't just some oversight on my part, it was an oversight on the partner's part as well. So obviously this was a very good scam that they were running, unfortunately, or should I say a very well put together scam. Unfortunately, we didn't research the company thoroughly, since the $1,000 course was actually half decent, and ultimately we thought that this was just going to be so much better, hopefully 40 or even more times better than the $1,000 we had already spent. And it would also take off all the heavy lifting from doing most of the upfront work. They would hire people for us. They would vet people for us. They would do all of the things that they told us to do in the course, but we just didn't have time to actually implement in the way we wanted to, as fast as we wanted to. And they mentioned that it had a guaranteed return, or so I thought. Now, months passed and none of the promised deliverables materialized. The few things that they did provide were low quality and nothing like what I was promised. When we tried to get answers, we were met with delays, excuses, and eventually silence. And it became clear we weren't getting what we paid for. Now, I requested a refund from them. I tried to work things out with them, but they were never able to actually help in the ways that they said they would. And what followed was a 6-month nightmare of seeing others with the same exact issues, fighting for chargebacks on our credit cards, legal consultations, and a ton of stress. And in that process, I discovered that we weren't alone, that there was actually a class action lawsuit forming against the company because they had done this to so many people. Now, eventually, after months of fighting, I did actually get my money back from my credit card chargeback. But the time loss, the stress endured, the opportunity costs were enormous in this case. Now, luckily, with this scam, as of May of 2025, the FTC actually cracked down on them on a $50 million judgment because they are able to do this with so many people. Now, this brings me to scam number 3, which is the dropshipping disaster, I call it. The third significant loss came from a dropshipping course that cost around $5,000. Now, this isn't as big of a number as the other two, but it does reveal some very important red flags. Big promises, guaranteed results, and no quality free community. And so I invested in this course because I was actually learning from the owner on YouTube. They didn't have a good free community, but they did have one. Unfortunately, there was no quality information there, no successful stories or successful students that were coming into the community to praising them at all. And so I didn't actually go through and follow what I would recommend following now. Instead, I went through, I purchased their course, I followed their system for Facebook ads and for drop shipping different products to customers through Facebook. And despite putting in the work and following their instructions exactly, I saw no results. And now this company has also since been shut down by the FTC for deceptive marketing practices. There was about a $10 million judgment actually, and they were making claims that they couldn't back up and using manipulative tactics to sell their program. 3 different investments, 3 different niches, but the same exact result. Significant financial loss and wasted time. These 3 different niches was 1 in the Amazon space, 2 was in an online business building opportunity. It's not not really any specific niche or space, just an online business building. And then the third one was with Facebook ads and dropshipping products. But there's more to this story. Beyond these three major scams, I've lost money in other ventures that followed similar patterns. I invested in 2 turnkey rental properties through a company that actually came highly recommended by a real estate expert that I trusted. The company seemed legitimate, but they were buying houses that ended up being condemned by the county. Now, I learned a lot through this process, and I was actually lucky enough to sell mine for a loss of about $20,000. But some investors weren't so fortunate and they lost everything. I also have lost about $10,000 to $15,000 in cryptocurrency arbitrage trading. Now, I wouldn't call this a scam. It was more bad timing and poor strategy on my part, but I invested in this crypto arbitrage trading bot right before the market collapsed, and I didn't have a safety protocol in place to protect my investments. But all told, these losses add up to well over $100,000 plus all of the time involved. $22,500 from that wholesale community plus the lost potential sales and time. $40,000 from the done for you program, which eventually I did recover, but after months of fighting and a lot of lost time and stress. Over $5,000 from the dropshipping course plus the cost for ads to actually run on Facebook. $20,000 from real estate losses from a company that was buying condemned real estate and not disclosing that properly in their advertisements. $15,000 from cryptocurrency arbitrage trading. So what can you learn from my expensive mistakes? Let's talk about the red flags that I missed and the system that I now use to protect myself. Because after losing this much money, I've become extremely good at spotting warning signs. And while you may or may not believe it, I still continue to look for good opportunities online to be able to buy into a course and community and learn from them to then apply it to my other businesses. Because to me, that's the number one way I've been able to grow my business, is by learning from others that are ahead of me. But here are the key red flags that appeared across almost all of these situations. Red flag number 1 was no free community access. Legitimate course creators and communities almost always have some form of free access where you can interact with both paying and non-paying members. This allows you to assess the quality of customer service, the success of all their students, and the overall vibe of the community before investing. All 3 of those major scams, and really all 5 of them I fell for, had completely closed communities. You couldn't talk to anyone unless you paid first. And this brings me to red flag number 2, which is manipulated reviews. Now, this one is particularly deceptive because 2 of the 3 main companies had excellent Trustpilot reviews, but I later was able to discover that they were actually manipulating these reviews. They were incentivizing positive ones in big ways. They were actually able to delete negative ones somehow, and they were creating an artificial impression of success. Now, that's actually why I completely ignore Trustpilot reviews whenever I'm evaluating a company. They're still worth it to look through in case they're all negative, but ultimately they are too easily manipulated, and I instead tend to go towards the Better Business Bureau to see what those complaints may actually look like, if there are any. Now, red flag number 3 is all promotional content. Legitimate educators provide genuine value in their free content, so you should be able to learn and implement real strategies just from their YouTube videos, their podcasts, or their blog posts. If all of their free content is pretty much just teasing the paid product without providing actionable value ever, then that's a major warning sign. And so this is something I pride myself on with my YouTube channel. I actually started this channel because I had so many people asking me questions that I just wanted to provide the answers in this channel instead of having to push people to only paid things. You can learn everything that you need to get started just from my free content. And my paid programs are more about systems, about scaling, about having a community of people all moving towards the same goal and working together, not gatekeeping the basic information to get started. That's what YouTube channels and podcasts are meant to be for, is to help people get going. Now, red flag number 4 is actually guaranteed returns on their investment. Now, this is perhaps the biggest red flag of all, and it's the one that I promised to reveal at the beginning of this video. There are a lot of programs out there that provide a guaranteed return on your investment. Now, any business program that guarantees specific financial returns is almost certainly misleading you. Businesses have too many variables, whether it's market conditions, personal execution, timing, resources, and many more things for anyone to actually guarantee a financial return of a result. Now, having a 30-day money-back guarantee or something similar is great because that's ultimately something that is not results driven. But saying that it's guaranteed that you get your money back is going to be a red flag, in my opinion, unless they're able to show you exactly how you qualify for that guarantee. So having some sort of a guarantee in a program should also include you knowing exactly how you qualify for that. So for example, I actually have a program for Amazon sellers that help them to find products and to build lead databases in their Amazon business. It's called an Evergreen Sourcing System program, and I personally guarantee 2,500 leads for their their business if they do one simple activity every day for 60 days. Now, if they do that and they report that to us every single day for 60 days and they don't hit the 2,500 leads, I will provide my own for them. Now, that's the kind of guarantee that you want. Clear, easy to follow, and provides a result. And now that we've covered the warning signs, let's talk about the system that I've developed to protect myself from these expensive mistakes happening again. I created a simple but effective system for being able to evaluate any business investment. And so I call this the trust but verify framework, so to speak, and it has 5 components. So step 1 is to check the free community first. Before investing into any program, I look for their free community. I join it, I ask questions, I observe how they treat both paying and non-paying members. I look for red flags like overly controlling messaging or any poor customer service. I look to see how long that community's been around. Step 2, you want to make sure to ignore Trustpilot, but check the BBB or Better Business Bureau instead. So as I mentioned earlier, Trustpilot reviews are easily manipulated, unfortunately, and so instead I check the Better Business Bureau for complaints and how the company has responded to them. No company is perfect, so there may actually be complaints, but how they handle those problems is going to tell you everything that you need to know about their integrity. Sometimes you can't do this step if the company isn't on the Better Business Bureau, but ultimately that's why there are more steps, just in case you need more information instead of this one. Step number 3 is evaluate the free content quality. Now, I actually spend a lot of time consuming their free content on YouTube, on podcasts, on other platforms, and I ask, am I learning actionable strategies that I can actually implement right now in my business? If their free content is all hype and it's no substance, then their paid content will likely disappoint as well. Be sure to watch multiple videos, see how they teach. If it's good, then their course and paid content should be even better. Step number 4 is start small when possible. So whenever possible, I like to start small in my purchases for these programs, because if I have a smaller investment in the program, I can test the waters to see how I like it. Now, unfortunately, with that done for you program earlier, that scam, I first bought their $1,000 program, their course, but this course was decent and it actually built a false confidence for that bigger investment. But still, that principle is fairly sound. You want to test with a smaller purchase before making a major commitment if possible. And step 5, get everything in writing that you possibly can if you have any significant investment. If it's a small course, it's under $100 or something, or even under $1,000, you can probably get away with not needing it all in writing because most of the time their sales pages have it on there. But if you're doing anything that's $5,000, $10,000 or higher, be sure to get things in writing so you know exactly how it works if you do encounter a problem. Because I want to make sure that I now get specific deliverables, their timelines, their refund policies, if they have one in writing. Honestly, not having a refund policy, if they say no guarantees, no refunds, that's totally fine in my opinion, but at least I know that going in. This saved me with that done for you program, having this policy in writing. Being able to document all of their promises, that was crucial in this chargeback process with my credit card company. Now, these 5 steps aren't foolproof, but it has protected me from several potential scams since implementing it. The key is doing your due diligence before transferring money, not after you've done so. Now, what do you do if you've been scammed? If you're watching this and realizing that you might be in a similar situation, here's what you can do if this does come up. So first, you want to document everything. Save all your emails, the promises, marketing materials, sales pages, and any communications that you have. Second, you want to request a refund directly to their support team. You want to start with a simple professional request for a refund based on unmet promises. This is key before ever submitting a chargeback, since you need to give the company some opportunity to actually respond and help you out first. If you don't do that, then your chargeback may be denied because you never actually went to the company first asking for a refund. Then the third step here is to actually initiate that chargeback. If they refuse to refund you, or they don't even provide any help to try to help you get your money back out of the program in some way or to get a better result, if they refuse and you're within their refund window and you know that they're actually in the wrong with proof, then contact your credit card company or payment processor to dispute that charge. But remember that being scammed doesn't mean that you're stupid. Now, I've made this mistake multiple times, and so some of you may think I'm pretty dumb. I don't know. But these operations are sophisticated. They're designed to overcome objections and create false trust. Some of the smartest entrepreneurs I know have fallen for many similar schemes. It's easy to avoid obvious scams, but it's difficult whenever they're built around the ideal of being successful. They have students in there. They are able to talk about some results that 1 or 2 students have gotten. And so it's easy to fall prey to those things. The key here, though, is learning from experience and protecting yourself going forward. Now, this brings me to perhaps the most important lesson from losing over $100,000 on these scams, which is that the biggest lesson wasn't about spotting scams or protecting my money. It was actually about the kind of business person that I want to be. Every time I felt the sting of being misled by one of these programs, of promises unfulfilled, of money wasted, I recommitted to building my business with integrity, making sure that everything I did, all of my messaging met exactly with what the FTC requires, because I don't want to scam anybody and I want to make sure people are confident in what they're getting to be a part of. Now, each loss clarified my values. It strengthened my own resolve to create something different, a business built on transparency, genuine value, and honest expectations. Not everyone that goes through the programs that I'm a part of, that I recommend, is going to be successful. But ultimately, you can have confidence that they are quality programs with quality people backing them. So what's the big takeaway from my mistakes? First, be sure to use that trust but verify framework that I shared to protect yourself from similar situations. These steps, checking free communities, using the Better Business Bureau, evaluating their free content, starting small, and getting everything in writing can save you thousands. And second, if you're building a business, let my experience inform your approach. Lead with value, be transparent about what you can and can't deliver, and build communities where people can thrive. If you found this valuable, there's much more where this came from. My channel is dedicated to helping you build ethical, profitable businesses without the hype or the false promises that plague our industry. Not everyone succeeds, but everyone can succeed with the right frameworks over a long enough period of time. And if you're interested in any of my paid or free stuff, be sure to check out the description down below. I hope this video helped you and blessed you, and you have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.